At 13, she stood on a stage that was very bright, and her voice was rough and strong. Courtney Hadwin sang the song with all her heart, and the audience was quiet. No one thought that a little girl from County Durham could shake up a packed theater in America in a matter of seconds. Today, we shall follow her amazing ascent to fame. The event that transformed her life forever and the tragedy that followed her dream. Stay with me as we describe every twist and turn in Courtney Hadwin's journey from an optimistic audition to a terrible accident and understand exactly how her spirit sustained her through the darkest era of her life. People saw a brave girl on stage, but what was the agony she was hiding behind that strong voice? Before she became famous, who was Courtney Hadwin truly like behind closed doors? A small girl with huge hopes. Courtney Hadwin was born on May 6, 2004, in Hesleden, a tiny village in County Durham, England. Her parents are Anne-Marie Hadwin and Paul Hadwin. Her parents work hard, and even on days when they are busy, they always made time to assist her develop her musical talent. Courtney first heard soul music since she was quite young. Her mother played songs by well-known singers. This helped her sing better because she had loved music since she was very little. She learned how to tap her foot to strong beats and hum along with different songs. When her parents played music in the house, she could dance with her hands in the air when she was 3. Her parents were really happy that she loved music. They liked to watch her do tiny shows about the house. At the age of 8, the school started giving her singing lessons. Her music teacher heard her exquisite voice and how deep it was. The teacher pushed her to join the school chorus. She got more and more confident with each song she sung at the weekly practices in the school hall. She was proud to perform on stage with her classmates during assembly. Her classmates called her rocker girl after they witnessed her sing and dance at the same time. She has a lot of confidence and she was never timid about playing before a crowd. She liked to sing. Courtney Hadwin was very dedicated to her work. She always went to her music classes. She learned to pay attention to her breathing so that her voice could reach the highest tone. Before school, she would sing scales in the mirror in her room. And even make songs when they were that young. When she was 10, she got together with other kids in her area to sing and play. They went by the name Durham Soul. Their parents helped them out in so many ways. They even helped buy guitars and drums for them. People may assemble in small groups to watch them and sing along. People in her town started to notice how good she was. A teenage singer with a voice like an angel was the subject of a short article in a local newspaper. The headline read, "A young girl brings soul to County Durham." That piece made her parents pleased, and it gave Courtney a reason to believe her voice mattered. She also attended to Shotton Hall Theatre School to learn. Every weekend, Anne-Marie drove her to practice. The music teacher she found there helped her with phrasing and control. Courtney learned how to change the sound of her voice to fit the mood of each song. Her purpose was to express her sentiments through song. At a tiny festival in Durham City, she got her first actual stage. A lot of people came to see. Standing under those lights made her feel apprehensive at first. She quickly got focused and felt more sure of herself. Everyone clapped for her after she was done singing the last song. People who didn't know her name cheered because they were moved by her beautiful voice. People in her area and even her friends and classmates often invited her to sing at birthday parties and other functions. She learned to express her feelings through music by standing in front of a small group of people she knew. When she chose a song, it was always one with words that spoke to her. That option made every song seem great and fun for people to listen to. By the time she was 12, her goals were bigger than her hometown. She kept the money her parents gave her for her pocket. She wanted to pitch in and help them pay for her travel tickets. She hoped to be able to share her ability with more people. She put down the things she wanted to do late at night. This child was born with a lot of talent, which made her remarkable. I can sense it. Can you? Having family and friends on my side made everything simpler. Her mother always advised her to stay humble, work hard, and remember what she wanted to do with her life. As she got ready to leave home, those comments stuck with her. The first part of her story was about wanting to see more of the world outside of Hesleden. She was simply a youngster with a suitcase and a dream. Would America see her talent or leave her behind in the crowd? What occurred when she eventually got on stage? The audition that shocked the whole country. Courtney Hadwin, who was 13 at the time, got off a plane in Omaha, Nebraska, in the summer of 2018. She had a little bag, a leather jacket, and a strong will. She had never been to the US before. Friends and family had told her about jet lag and told her to get a good night's sleep when she got there. But she was only thinking about one thing: getting on America's Got Talent. Courtney was both excited and worried when she got to the CenturyLink Center for her audition in the morning. In the holding area, hopeful singers and dancers worked on their acts in small groups. The people working backstage called out names at random, and the contestants had to wait quietly until their turn. Courtney Hadwin held her audition form in one hand and her fedora in the other. She took a deep breath and walked behind the producers down a tiny hallway to the stage. Under brilliant lights, the judges' table was. Simon Cowell, Heidi Klum, Howie Mandel, and Mel B watched each act without clapping till the end. The audience went silent when Courtney walked to the center of the stage. She had on dark trousers, a white shirt, and a black leather jacket. Her hair hung loosely about her shoulders in waves. There was silence in the hall as the band started to play the opening notes of Piece of My Heart. At first, her voice was quiet. She closed her eyes and felt her heart beating. Her real power came out all at once. Her voice cracked with want and strength. She stamped her foot to the beat of the song, moving like a vocalist who was twice her age. Every note had grit and emotion. Simon leaned forward and raised his eyebrows. Heidi sat up straight with her eyes wide open. Howie put his hand over his lips because he couldn't disguise his shock. Mel B tapped her fingers on the table and waited for more. When the last chord rang out, the audience went wild with applause. The judges stood up and clapped for her great performance. When Simon struck his buzzer, a red light flashed on the stage, which was a unique moment. Courtney's eyes opened. She saw that Simon was happy and grabbed her fedora. She looked at the judges and then at her mother, who was crying tears of delight behind the scenes. A producer gave her a microphone so she could do a quick interview. She added, "I love to sing," in a weak voice. "It gives me a sense of freedom." People were moved by how simple her explanation was. That same night, her performance video became viral on social media. It garnered more than 10 million views on YouTube by morning. From the New York Times to the BBC, news sites wrote articles calling her the voice of a teenage Janis Joplin. Headlines lauded her strong style and raw strength. Front-page stories in her hometown of Hesleden talked about how she had taken America by storm. The next day, producers called Courtney back for a more intimate audition. Cameras were rolling as she met the other contenders and judges again in a glass room. She sang a song called Heart and Soul that her voice instructor, Laura, wrote just for her. Her voice communicated emotion to every corner of the room, even without the full stage lighting. Simon applauded her for being creative and picking a song that fit her mood. He said, "You're not copying anyone, you're being yourself." That time was very important. The judges made sure she would go straight to the live performances. She left the audition room with a group of other artists who all hugged her and said kind things to her. Courtney said in interviews that she missed her family and friends, but she also said that she felt more and more at home on the America's Got Talent stage. She got a lot of messages that night. People all around the world became her followers and applauded her on different social media sites. People from as far away as Japan and Brazil sent her messages thanking her for sharing her music. One fan said, "Your voice makes me feel alive." Another person said, "You remind me of my daughter." Courtney Hadwin was so happy that she couldn't help but cry. She understood that her singing had reached individuals she would never meet. In the weeks that followed, her audition videos were getting more and more views. Talk shows wanted her to come on. The Today Show asked her to sing on TV live. She went to online classes to keep up with her education and the constant task. Her parents helped her with her juggling, which was nice. She stayed focused on music instead of stardom in every interview. Her path from singing in a choir in her birthplace in England to getting a standing ovation at an audition in the United States shows how brave and talented she is. She worked hard at her art and gave it her all. That audition was the first time the world saw Courtney Hadwin. After that, everything changed. Courtney Hadwin had found her chance to shine, and America's Got Talent had found its next star. A sensation overnight. Courtney Hadwin was no longer merely a contestant when the live broadcast started. She was the main story. Within hours of her audition being posted online, people all around the world fell in love with her. People who liked her performance uploaded videos of it on social media and tagged their friends and relatives. Teen rock star from England steals the show was one of the headlines on news sites. Her video got more than 10 million views on YouTube in less than a day. This young girl from County Durham suddenly found herself in the middle of a tornado that she had only ever fantasized about. She came to Los Angeles with a special chaperone. She was busier with schoolwork. She needed aid with her studies because she was often on the go and needed help keeping her grades up. She also made time to think about her next performance. She got up early every morning to practice before breakfast. She used several scales to warm up her voice and stretched her chest and shoulders to support each note. Her coach kept a close eye on her and gave her tips on how to control her breathing and timing. She got better at her job every day, which gave her more confidence. Afternoons were spent rehearsing on the America's Got Talent soundstage. There were bright lights above, and cameras moved along tracks to get every angle. Courtney learned how to use fog machines and spotlights so that her voice was the only thing that stood out. She practiced strolling with the microphone stand and learned how to stop at the end of each phrase for dramatic effect. Producers and directors were shocked at how focused she was. One crew member noted that she dealt with every new problem like an adult, even though she was only 14. Courtney decided to sing, maybe a Janis Joplin song, when live show week came. She stood on a stage with blazing arches and deep crimson lights all around her. The audience was quiet before she started. Then she opened her mouth and made a strong, forceful voice that was full of feeling. The crowd got up halfway through the song and cheered so loudly that it filled the arena. The judges grinned and nodded their heads in agreement. When she was done, confetti cannons went out and covered her in shiny streamers while she was still on stage. For minutes, cheers rang out. People may see her name on charts, music blogs, and fan sites. Her performances were among the most watched in the history of the talent competition within 24 hours. Her team got calls from talk shows. They made plans for her to be on the Ellen DeGeneres show for the first time. Ellen hugged her tightly when she got on stage. Ellen tried to sing a line with her rough voice, and they all chuckled. Courtney said she missed her dog back home and that the sound of applause made her heart feel full. Then came The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. While she sang a blues classic, Jimmy surprised her by playing drums live behind her. The crowd clapped along with the music. After the song, Jimmy and Questlove, the leader of his band, commended how well she controlled her voice and how much she loved music. They made jokes about starting a band together. Courtney chuckled and said she'd think about it when she finished her homework. Every time she showed up, she got more famous. Record labels made offers for time in the studio. Companies who sell clothes asked about hoodies and t-shirts. Courtney, on the other hand, stayed grounded. She remembered what her mother had said, sing to share joy, not to get famous. She called home after each interview to stay in touch with her family. She read notes from followers who found hope in her songs. She could write short words in her journal, such I sang for millions. Because I liked it, I shall sing with my heart tomorrow. Courtney Hadwin's path from a single audition footage to worldwide stardom became the narrative of an overnight sensation. But behind the unexpected success were hours of effort, a lot of attention, and the same ambition she had as a little girl, to sing with all her heart. A lot of people recognized her as the brave girl with the strong voice. But what happens when the spotlight goes off and one rainy night alters everything for good? What truly went down that night? The sad night. Courtney Hadwin joined a mini tour in early October 2018 to support other finalists from America's Got Talent. The ensemble took a bus from Minneapolis to Madison, Wisconsin, after weeks of live gigs. Their itinerary saw them performing at numerous theaters one after the other. Courtney could always sit by a window and check messages from followers on her phone. It was raining heavily outside, and it was hitting the glass. The driver had driven large distances before and maintaining a steady speed under highway lights. Some passengers slept on seats with blankets over their knees. There were bags on the overhead racks and instruments in protective cases. As they got closer to a curve on Interstate 94, no one could have guessed that their trip would take a drastic turn in just a few seconds. Around midnight, the bus got close to a part of the road that is known for being slippery. It had been raining for hours, and there were puddles of water down the side of the road. A burst of wind drove the bus toward the guardrail as it turned the corner. The driver slammed on the brakes, but he couldn't get full control back. The vehicle slid sideways for almost 20 feet. Courtney felt a jolt that sent her forward as she moved in her seat. Cases slipped out of their storage spaces and above cabinets flew open. Inside the bus, the sound of metal grinding and glass tapping on metal rang. After one last lurch, the bus came to a stop against the guardrail. After the crash, there was silence, except for muted cries and the sound of rain outside. Courtney touched her forehead where it had hit the luggage rack. She took off her seatbelt and rose up gently, looking for any injuries. Her right knee hurt a lot, and blood was running down her temple. Other musicians got up from their chairs ahead of time, startled yet aware. The keyboardist grasped his wrist and winced in pain. The tour manager pushed on his shoulder, which had a bruise on it from a loose case. Outside, the headlights of automobiles that were driving by lit up the bus that was resting against the barrier. A few drivers stopped to aid, shining spotlights inside and phoning the police. Within minutes, the first responders were there. Behind the bus, 2 ambulances, a fire truck, and a highway patrol cruiser showed up. Paramedics promptly got on board with stretchers and emergency gear. They talked to each passenger in a calm way, checking for injuries one by one. Courtney was sitting in a foldable chair next to the bus. A paramedic carefully looked at her knee and confirmed that it was broken. He put a soft brace around it and raised her leg. Another person cleansed the cut on her forehead. Courtney answered every question she was asked, including how bad her suffering was and what happened in the crash. She said it was okay to transport her to a local hospital for X-rays and other care. Doctors at St. Mary's Hospital in Madison did scans on Courtney. They determined that the right kneecap was broken and that the person had a moderate concussion. She didn't need surgery on her knee, but she would need 6 weeks of limited movement and physical treatment. Because of the concussion, she needed to rest her head and cut back on screen time. The nurses put her in a room by herself. A doctor went over the treatment plan with her step by step and gave her a timetable for therapy sessions. Courtney agreed, but she kept questioning how she might safely return to singing. People heard about the crash shortly. People on social media were posting a lot of messages wishing her a quick recovery. A fan-made page put together messages that played like a slideshow on the TV by her bed. Contestants from America's Got Talent sent short films saying how happy they were that no one had been seriously hurt. Simon Cowell and Heidi Klum, who are judges, sent Courtney get-well letters complimenting her bravery. A friend quickly set up a GoFundMe page. It generated $32,000 in less than 48 hours to pay for therapy and travel. Courtney viewed these comments with a slight smile and a lot of thanks. She was thankful for the support she got from all around the world. In the meantime, tour dates were called off. Theater managers and ticket agents got in touch with people who had bought tickets for shows in Wisconsin and Illinois. Refunds were given, and a lot of fans said they would give their ticket money back to the recovery fund. The tour bus business said in a statement that the crash was caused by strong winds and heavy rain. They said they would do a comprehensive safety check. Courtney's team focused on her recovery and made sure someone would drive her home to England once the doctors said she could go. In interviews from her hospital room, she said she was disappointed that certain performances had to be cancelled, but she was thankful for the attention and concern she received. Courtney flew back to England after 2 days in Madison, although she was still under medical monitoring. Her parents picked her up at the airport and helped her get through customs and into the car that was waiting for her. Courtney got comfortable back home in County Durham. The first physical therapy sessions took place in a modest clinic near Hesleden. Each session included light stretching, balance exercises, and drills to make her knee stronger. Because of her concussion, she could only read and talk on the phone for short amounts of time. She practiced gentle humming during breaks to keep her voice in shape. Family friends sent them food and publications to help them pass the time. The incident put an end to her busy schedule, but it also gave her time to relax and think. Courtney started composing songs about optimism and strength. In her garden shed workshop, she drew pictures of ideas for future performances. Visits from schoolmates and neighbors made her laugh and feel better. The struggle of injury gave her a chance to remember why she liked to sing. Courtney started to see a way back to the stage with constant care and support. She was ready to make a sad night a part of her life story. Hope and healing. Courtney felt a surge of comfort when she entered inside the door of her home in Hesleden. She could smell her mother's cooking, and she could hear her father's tools clinking softly in the next room. She proceeded gingerly, using crutches and a brace on her right knee. With every stride, I remembered that rainy night on the bus. But here, with family and friends, she found peace and an opportunity to start over. The next week, physical therapy started. To assist her walk the right way. Courtney's therapist was kind and sympathetic, which made it easy for her to connect with her. At first, she could only bend her knee a little. She did this by doing gentle exercises that focused on control. She sat on a soft table and moved her foot back and forth. She stood on one leg for only a few seconds before sitting down again. Every step she took felt new, like she was starting to walk again. She saw minor changes with each session. 2 more degrees of bend and 5 more seconds of balancing. Courtney cut back on her phone time and stayed away from screens for long periods of time because physicians told her to rest her head. She learned a thing or two about music and tried to write new lyrics during her morning breaks. She wrote songs on things that had happened to her in her life. Things like facing fear, finding strength, and how music could help. She wrote about how raindrops fell on a window and compared them to the beat of a music that was going to be heard. Those papers created a record of her trip. In the afternoons, she was in the shed behind their house. Her family had made it a little studio for her. There was a modest stand for a microphone and a wooden shelf for 2 speakers. She could hear each note on her laptop, which was connected to recording software. At first, she hummed to keep her voice in sync without straining. She soon switched to mellow renditions of songs by Etta James and Aretha Franklin. Her voice was soft and clear. She made a slow version of Natural Woman, being careful not to push too hard. People in her hometown heard about her recuperation. Their neighbors may bring meals and eat with them for company and emotional support. Friends came by with cards and drawings they had made themselves. One night, a few neighborhood singers got together outside her window and put on a small concert on their driveway. Courtney stared from the porch, her crutches leaning against her, as their voices raised under a street lamp. She shed tears of thanks for the folks who loved her very much. Over the course of weeks, Courtney's therapist made her therapy more intense. She added side steps with a tension band and light lunges to see how well she could control herself. Courtney's muscles hurt a little, but she saw it as a sign that she was making progress. Her therapist and she high-fived when she was able to exercise for 30 minutes straight without pain. It felt like a minor victory at that moment. By the end of November, physicians said it was okay for her to undertake mild singing tests. She went back to the shed in the backyard and stood up without crutches for the first time. She took a deep breath, focused, and sang a few scales. It was nice to hear her voice. When she sang in her normal voice, she didn't hurt herself. She was happy when she discovered she could still share her gift. She made a video of her practice and put it on her channel. Fans praised her bravery in the comments. And they heard a new depth in her voice. In early December, the people in charge of a charity event at Newcastle City Hall asked her to sing. The event donated money for young musicians who were hurt. Courtney changed into a pretty green dress behind the scenes. The hem of her dress obscured her knee brace. The audience fell silent when she stepped onto the stage. She started with a lovely ballad that she had written herself. The song rose up steadily, with each verse gathering intensity, until she sang a clear, soaring ending. The crowd stood up and kept clapping for her. She felt proud as she departed the stage that night. It wasn't simple for her to get well, but it showed her what she could do. The crash had stopped her trip. But it also taught her to be patient and keep going. She looked forward to live gigs and writing new songs now that her voice was back and her mood was high. Healing had given her the strength to keep working on her music career and aim higher. On that stage, she discovered hope again. But what if a budding star decides to give back instead of going after fame? What did Courtney do next to commemorate her gift? Respecting her skill. Courtney came back into the public eye in early 2019 after months of recovery. America's Got Talent asked her to join Stars for Hope, a benefit tour that helps young performers who are having a hard time. She performed at the Rosemont Theater in Chicago. The crowd stood up to clap before the first chorus when she started with "Piece of My Heart." Her voice was warm and strong, garnering applause that lasted long after she exited the stage. The next event was a concert dubbed Girls of Soul, which brought together female vocalists to honor trailblazing voices. The performance took place at London's Jazz Café and featured singers covering famous soul songs. Courtney joined in for the last song, "Try a Little Tenderness," and sang it with a lot of feeling. People who were also performing with her wore the same clothes. As she hit the last high note, soft blue lights lit up the stage and the crowd stood up and clapped. She talked with other singers backstage about their lives as up-and-coming performers. Record companies paid attention. Courtney recorded an extended play at a Newcastle studio in the spring of 2019. She helped write 2 unique songs, one about being thankful and the other about getting over fear. She also made covers of Respect by Aretha Franklin and At Last by Etta James. Producers praised her for being able to mix old and new styles. By summer, the EP emerged on Spotify and Apple Music, getting excellent reviews from music blogs and radio stations. In addition to recording, Courtney loved giving back. She was asked to give a masterclass for aspiring vocalists by an arts body in County Durham. She taught them how to use a microphone and how to breathe properly in a small theater. More than 50 students came, and a lot of them were nervous when they got there but felt better after they left. She said to them, "Your voice is your story. Sing it right." After that, students lined up to get her autograph and take pictures with her, holding notebooks full of her advice. There was no doubt that she was already famous. Courtney started a tiny scholarship fund in her area to help other people pay for courses. She worked with her first voice coach to give out 2 grants each year that paid for 6 months of singing sessions. People who wanted to apply wrote short essays about what music meant to them. The first winners, 2 sisters aged 10 and 12, got free lessons and a microphone for beginners. They dedicated their song to Courtney at their first recital. Who was in the front row and had tears in her eyes? By the end of 2019, Courtney had gone from being a determined contestant to a mentor and a recording artist. Each step paid tribute to the talent that first shocked America. Her adventure taught her that success is more than just being famous. It means sharing music, helping people, and making every problem an opportunity to learn and grow. We can reach heights we never thought possible if we keep trying, just like Courtney Hadwin did. There is more to come if you liked this video. Stay interested.